Now let's talk about the market, of course, which has been quite bearish through the course of the week. Now, some analysts say that we're now seeing a similar case in our equity markets as we are in the fixed income markets, where foreign investors, of course, are stepping back because of the macroeconomic situation. Now, other analysts are saying that the current weak trend is actually history repeating itself. Since 2009, of course, during the May to September period, we've seen the market sort of slow down. What do you make of all this? And what is the reason for this bearish trend currently in the stock exchange? Keeping in mind, of course, that about 80% of our stock market is dominated by the foreign investors.
Correct. I think there's a lot of rationale in both sides of the argument, Uche. There are quite a number of reasons from our perspective why we're seeing the bearish trend in the market now. One is that the fixed income market has inched up significantly by several hundred basis points over the last, let's say, 6 to 9 months. Yesterday, the 364-day Treasury note closed at close to 16%. So with those sort of yields, where the effective yield in this case is over 18%, with those sort of yields, we're seeing investor appetite for equity drop. Secondly, we're also seeing some of the effect of the Eurozone crisis trickle down to Nigeria as well. Quite a substantial portion of the daily trades are carried out by frontier foreign fund managers, which they're starting to pull back as a result of some of the crisis in the Eurozones. And I think thirdly as well, there's also some concerns on some of the macroeconomic policies being implemented by the federal government. I think investors would like to see some steadfastness on the part of the federal government, which we haven't quite seen, whether it's the PIB bill or the power sector reform bill. A lot of these policy measures are yet to be implemented in a steadfast way, and I think we have to wait to see how those pan out before we can see some proper recovery in the capital market here.
Well, Shuaib, let's go back to the stocks. Do you see any value stocks, though, in the market now? Of course, some analysts do say that the NSE remains an undervalued field. Right now is the ideal time, of course, to take profits and enter the market at lower levels. So what is your take, I mean, in terms of some of the value stocks we should be looking at right now?
I think there are value stocks in the market, absolutely, both from the banking sector stocks and the fast-moving consumer goods. I think from a micro level, when you look at some of the leading banks, the likes of GTB, First Bank and Zenith, they continue to offer medium to long-term value for investors. The management team are quite strong. The projected PE ratios, price-to-book ratios and dividend yields are very attractive. So I think from an investor perspective and a fund manager perspective, I think it makes absolute sense to continue to put them in your portfolio. However, we don't see any immediate recovery in the capital market as a result of the macro factor sort of weighing down the capital market overall.
Well, Shuaib, I mean, let's talk about a specific stock. Dangote Cement is one of the stocks that analysts do say that you can buy now and sort of make good profits on later. Now, let's look at the stock's performance. This week, we saw its price go from about 112 Naira 25 kobo to close at 102 Naira today. However, we are hearing some good news from management. We do know the Obajana cement plant will be commissioned on Monday. And of course, with their reports that the Cameroonian government has given the company the go-ahead with their construction there. So what is your outlook on that stock specifically?
I think Dangote Cement, obviously being the biggest company, the biggest listed company on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, is always going to be a major player in the Nigerian capital market. It comprises around 25% of the market capitalization, so it's pretty big. You always want to have Dangote cement in your portfolio anyway. But I think we're also hearing some good news from the management. Like you mentioned, the Cameroonian government has resolved its land dispute with them and given them a go-ahead to set up a plant. I think that would help to increase capacity and expand production across the West African and the Sub-Saharan region as well. Obajana cement as well. That should help to increase productivity and capacity over the medium to long term as well. So overall, we're quite, we're quite bullish on Dangote Cement. We continue to have a positive view over the medium to long term, and we think it's a company that you definitely want to buy in your portfolio.